that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. My name is Jason Camilio. I work in the Office of Global Initiatives at Berkeley, and I'm joined today by my two colleagues, Ray Soul and Betsy Becker. Um, they're my co-producers and partners for these global connection sessions that we're doing. Um, here in this time of remoteness, it's a great opportunity for us to connect with educators, artists, alumni, students, and other colleagues to just talk about the work that we're doing. And we've got a special session today. The session is being recorded, so you're going to have the opportunity. It's going to be a lot of great information shared. You'll be able to go back and take a look at this, and our colleagues at our partner school, Mohawk College, as well as Berkeley, will be able to share this with you. And please, share it with your friends or people that might have not been able to attend the session, because they're going to want to check it out as well. We'll have it up online, and we'll get the link out to everybody. Global Connections is our opportunity at Berkeley to reach out into the world, to continue building our global audience, to share information about our programs, our partnerships. And today we've got a really cool session. And it's actually, I think, for me, it's the first opportunity I'm having to connect with my colleagues, Jamshed Terrell and Pat Collins at Mohawk College. Mohawk is an excellent institute of contemporary, their music, their contemporary music program as part of the college is exceptional. They've got amazing teachers and additionally incredible students and graduates, and we're going to have a chance to speak with one of them today as well. We're going to go through the session. We're going to talk a little bit about the partnership. Mohawk College is a Berkeley Global academic partner. What that means is that we're collaborating, we're working actively with Mohawk to create opportunities for our teachers, students, and alumni to engage, to reach out to our communities around where Mohawk is located in Hamilton, and obviously in our larger global community. Berkeley has partners. We have 25 partners around the world that have this distinction. And also students that complete the program at Mohawk successfully and get accepted to Berkeley will be able to transfer their credits to Berkeley, their music credits. And we'll talk more about that as we get into the session. Um, Without further ado, what I'd like to do is turn it over to my colleague from the Office of Admissions. She's the Assistant Director of Admissions, and specifically for this region. And she's had the opportunity to travel together and work together and do Berkeley on the Road programs and things of that nature. And please join me in welcoming Britt Holbert. Thanks for joining us, Britt.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm going to share my screen because I'm going to get kick-started here with our presentation. I'll tell you a little bit about myself, and there is relevance, I promise. So I work in admissions. My job is primarily to assist students in this exact process of transferring into Berkeley, getting to Berkeley. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what Berkeley offers, and then we're going to talk about the program and how to get into Berkeley as a continuing student, as a transfer student. I'll remind you that if you have questions, we're here to help. So definitely use the chat to ask questions at the end, and we'll have kind of an informal Q&A as well. A little bit about myself. I've been with Berkeley for about 2.5 years. Prior to that, I was with Boston Conservatory, which is another one of our schools within the Berkeley brand. And I also was a transfer student. I transferred from a community college to a state school, so I certainly understand the value of saving money in that way, making practical decisions about taking liberal arts classes, and then using that function as a way to get to the school that I wanted to go to as my end game. And it's really common these days to see Berkeley as that way. A lot of conversations I have are about counseling students to see Berkeley as the end game versus straight out the gate. So a little bit about Berkeley. We are a contemporary music school in Boston, Massachusetts, right on the East Coast. One of the largest music schools on the East Coast. In fact, we have about 5,000 students, mostly undergrad. We do have graduate programs, but most of them do reside in Valencia, Spain, now in New York City. So you'll kind of see the timeline here of when we've opened up various campuses and have different nods to other things that we've imposed into our curriculum, like electronic digital instrument. And I mention all of this because we are constantly setting the pace as far as curriculum, as far as what we offer for stylistic emphases and instruments. So we offer tons of different facilities on campus to be able to see out your future at Berklee and see out your future in the music industry. 16 professional production facilities, 12 on-campus venues. There's always performances happening. Even in the main building where I work, you walk into the main lobby and it's one of our venues, and you're always hearing music or a master class, a recital. So something's constantly buzzing at Berklee. And I think that's one of the biggest appeals. Like I said, something's always happening. There's only over 1,500 student concerts a year. So you can imagine how much you're being exposed to different styles, different genres, and just different types of ensembles and students at Berklee. I think now we're closer to 500 plus ensembles. There's really something for everybody. So even though you come in as a student on maybe one style, like you are really good as a classical pianist or you're a really great jazz guitarist, you have the ability with Berklee to discover and explore so much more than that. And we have about a 43% international population on campus. So with students coming from all over the world, that global connection that we make really allows us to offer all of these different types of ensembles and experiences for our students. Not to mention our Berklee hubs, where all across the US and internationally, we have connections with schools just like Mohawk. Different practice rooms in each building, and of course, student-run enterprises, that include clubs and organizations on campus, even non-related, so something for everybody. Students typically do live on campus. It's one of the more popular options, though we are in a pretty dense college town. So we're very close to Harvard, MIT, Boston University, Emerson, Mass College of Art and Design, Boston Architectural. The list can really go on. It's a very intense college town. And so students can live on campus in one of the 4 dorms. The most popular are 150 Massachusetts Avenue and 160 Massachusetts Avenue. I bring those up because those are mainly what's featured in a lot of our content out there, what you might see in some of our media. And those are really just above either a very populated academic building with our media center and our studios and practice spaces, and the other is just above our 2-floor dining hall. So those are why those are the most popular. And first year students can certainly live on campus, though it is not required at all. So even as a transfer student, you still are considered a first year student with Berklee. So you have the opportunity to choose housing if you'd like. I want to bring some attention to our majors and careers, as I'm sure some of you are already thinking about that and what you might want to do after Berklee. So we offer 12 different majors, which we like to say are career paths into the industry in a variety of disciplines. So we have everything from writing disciplines, production disciplines, performance, composition, business and management, and that one at the very bottom there, professional music, which allows you to kind of build your own curriculum and really choose different disciplines that illustrate a pathway for you towards a career of your choice. We even have super niche minors to get there as well. So if there's something that you want to do very specifically, you'll see some nods there to the conservatory in theater and dance and drama, and then also in different scoring modalities. So video game, musical theater writing, stage management. These are all very specific paths that you could also take as a minor to give you that extra skill set to get you where you want to be. And that's ultimately our goal. And speaking of where you end up, or even what you might experience as an overlap in your curriculum, these are just some of the industries in which our students get jobs or internships, and mainly in some of our bigger hubs in the US and beyond. So LA is a big one for us. A lot of our film scoring majors end up there, production majors. Same thing with New York City, especially with those Broadway nods. And Miami is big for Latin music and production, as well as Nashville most recently. We also, our campus in Valencia, Spain, Abu Dhabi, Shenzhen, and in our global partners in Canada. We have a 24-hour counseling line for career services. So if you wanted to set up an appointment, we have counseling advisors that help you with your resume, your cover letter, finding internships, and doing one-on-one sessions to kind of see what you might want to do as an internship or as a career, and what we can do to get you on that path. So we actually also have like a in-house talent scout, someone that's specifically there at Berkeley to help you identify your needs in your career, what your skill sets are, and then they kind of headhunt for you for internships in the industry, which is really cool. That's a new position that just came about in the past year. And of course, the pathways to Berkeley, which we're going to talk about today. I've highlighted the Mohawk College partnership there. These are a couple other ways to get to Berkeley. Like I said, there's really common conversations about how to get to Berkeley, save a little money by doing other programs or other curriculum in different ways. So whether it's with massive online open courses through the Berkeley City Network or through an international partner. But before you get to a partnership, when you're in a program, which Jamshed is going to talk a lot more about, you do have to go through the Berkeley admissions process. So when it's time to apply and you're thinking, okay, I'm finishing up my time here, I really need to start thinking about what I might do for my application. You will submit the application online. That gets you started. And then you complete an audition and interview process and submit your materials, which include your transcripts, which are the way that we kind of evaluate your transfer credits and your grade average, because you do have to have a B average in your core music curriculum and a C in your liberal arts in order to be eligible for transfer of all the program requirements. The audition is a prepared piece of your choosing, any style. Again, this is open intentionally so we can see what your best strength is. And it can be an original piece if you'd like. So that's something that we'll only be assessing your musicality. We're not assessing songwriting ability or composition ability in the audition, though it's an opportunity in your application to submit any original works for additional scholarship if you'd like. But if you do feel like your originals, put your best foot forward by all means. Anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes is acceptable. And then we'll cover some other fundamental areas like improv, ear training, and sight reading. So the improvisation section is going to be like a bluesy jazz type vibe. There's always 2 faculty in the room. So they're going to either play piano or guitar, sometimes bass, and they're going to ask you to comp to them. For my vocalists out there, you do not have to scat. If you are a strong scatter, you can of course do that as well, but a do or a da is just fine. Or if you want to put words to it and be bold, you can certainly do that as well. The ear training portion is melodic and rhythmic. So we're going to test your ear on different chord qualities on the piano. We're going to play some melodic lines and it's going to be like a call and response. Same thing with the rhythmic. So we're going to clap rhythms. We'll want you to clap those back to us. Sight reading, we will give you the examples ahead of time and we'll ask you to do the sight reading example in the audition room. So typically there's no exact order here. Usually the prepared piece goes first and it's up to the faculty which way they're going to go next. I recommend if you are an electronic digital instrument principal that you check out our website. There are a little bit more specifications to what we'll require as far as the prepared piece and the ear training portion. We're going to want to see some live looping and something specific besides just pressing play. We want to see that you can use your controllers. In the same day, after your audition, you'll go into your interview with a representative in admissions like myself or an alumni ambassador. And this is like a 15-minute conversation just to get to know you better. There's no essay requirement, so this is our opportunity to ask questions, understand your background. We'll probably ask you why you want to go to Berkeley, what major you might want to pursue, everything that you've worked on to prepare for that moment, and a little bit of your background as well as what you might contribute to the community. All the questions are on their website if you did want to prepare. They're very transparent, so that's a great place to, or a great resource rather. And then you'll submit your supplemental materials. This is your transcript of grades. SAT and ACT scores are optional. And if you are at a non-English speaking institution, you'll have to submit TOEFL, IELTS, or now Duolingo. So if that does not pertain to you, then that is not a requirement for you. But I like to say strive for a 3.0. For the partner program, you do have to have that solid B average, like I mentioned. And then we will offer Berkeley scholarships through the audition process. So that's a common question. And if you have questions about finances, I left it out of this presentation just so that we could get to more of the partnership qualities, but we can certainly go over that as well and what we're looking for. These are just some of the top scholarship opportunities that I like to mention. The Writing and Composition Scholarship is no longer called that specifically, but you can submit those original works in your application, like I mentioned. Presidential scholarships, that's pretty much the highest scholarship you can get at Berkeley. Very few do get that excuse me, scholarship, it goes to the board, the presidential cabinet to select that student. But through the audition and interview, every student is considered. So the scholarship is about 40% of tuition. That's the average that we offer. And the average that you would receive is close to 45% covering tuition. So of course, some are getting less, some are getting more. I definitely recommend looking at outside scholarships. There's a page on our website. Using berkeley.edu in the search bar to type in outside scholarships should bring you the first link. And it just lists a bunch of different opportunities, especially for international students, to see what they might be eligible for to bring into Berkeley and supplement more of the cost. Other distinguished scholarships would be scholarships that you might receive from your school or another third party that you're affiliated with that you could also bring to Berkeley, also including military merit as well. I'll leave this here for a quick moment because you do have an opportunity to talk to admissions always. You have counselors in admissions, enrollment officers that can help you. I want to give this opportunity to leave the email here, but I'll link it also in the chat. So if you wanted to take a screenshot, that's totally fine. And I'm going to pass it over to Jamshed to talk more about the program and the transfer process and really what's all involved in making that pathway to Berkeley. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Britt. I'm just going to go here. Thanks, Britt, for that introduction. And it's welcome, everybody. My name is Jamshed Terrell. I think most of you know me. I'm the coordinator of the music program at Mohawk College. And it's just, I'll start by saying it's great to be part of a global partnership with Berkeley. This connects all of us with some of the finest institutions around the world. And one of the things that we've been seeing over the last year or so is just this access to some amazing workshops. I know some of the students who are on this call, some of the faculty on this call have been attending some of those. For those of you who haven't, I highly recommend. We periodically post these on our social media and we send email alerts about these. These workshops are incredible and just with some of the finest musicians and educators around the world. So I highly recommend that you guys attend those. And I will also just plug briefly that we have a series of joint workshops coming up from February till May next year between Berkeley and Mohawk, and we're excited about those as well. So we'll be sending more details on that. To the global partnership. So I'll just start for a few people who are on this call who may not know about Mohawk College. I'll briefly just discuss the music program at Mohawk College. And I'd say that Mohawk College as a whole, it's based in Hamilton, Canada. As a whole, Mohawk College has one main focus, and that is to make our graduates the most in-demand employees in the economy. And for us in the music department, that means we want our students to be well-rounded, versatile, active members of the arts community here in Hamilton, in Canada, or wherever they go. And so we've kind of divided, or let's say there are kind of 5 facets of what we really focus on when we designed our program at Mohawk College. Kind of the hallmark of colleges is hands-on training, right? You know, we do lots of performances. Everyone we make sure has performances. We have internships. We give real-world projects. There's a lot of emphasis on hands-on training. Those real-world projects often require collaboration, so we emphasize collaboration for our students. We want our students to be working with community groups. We want our students to be reaching out to our alumni and working with them. Music is under the creative industries banner at Mohawk College, so we're always collaborating with our TV department. We're collaborating with the radio students, with journalism students, with accessible media students, animation students, doing joint projects together. The other thing is we want to make sure that the faculty with whom you're working are some of the most experienced and most versatile faculty in Canada. And you're not just working with researchers or teachers, you are working with industry professionals who have a vast experience in the music industry. The other thing with faculty that I will just mention is that in general, Mohawk, we tend to emphasize small class sizes. And we can really kind of individualize attention to our students. Facilities, we want to make sure that you have the industry tools you need. There's a slogan at Mohawk College that says future ready. And we want to make sure that you have those tools of the trade. We use professional level software. We have an auditorium that you can regularly use. We're an Avid certified school, so you can get Pro Tools certification. And then the final thing is about community. Hamilton is a growing arts community. There's a big emphasis on developing local skills and fostering the arts. We partner with a lot of organizations in the area to not only have opportunities for our students, but also to show them the value of contributing to the community that eventually is going to be supporting you and that you're going to be an integral part of. And so that's kind of the 5 main hallmarks of our education. And then within that, really, we have the curriculum that we build, right? So we kind of got 6 branches of study within the way in which we design our program at Mohawk. It's focused on your instrument, and then you learn the other elements around that. And the point is to get you that well-rounded background in music with opportunities to explore various parts of the music industry. I'm going to move to that. And so, I said earlier that kind of the main goal that we have is we want our students to be well-rounded, versatile, active members of the arts community here in Hamilton, in Canada, or wherever they go. And I point this all out because I think that so many of the same reasons to study at Mohawk are exemplified at Berkeley. We talked about those hands-on training, the collaboration, the quality of faculty, the small class sizes, the professional facilities, the community building. You recognize a lot of that is what Britt was talking about in her presentation as well. And Berkeley shares those same values as we have at Mohawk College and takes it to an even higher level. It's kind of built into its curriculum. And it's what makes the transition, I think, also a lot smoother for students who've started at Mohawk going to Berkeley. You're familiar with the modality of working and mindset. In addition to the fact that we actually do use quite a bit of Berkeley's material within our curriculum. So you're already familiar with the terminology, the way in which they approach music, as well as those values. And it's what makes your post-secondary education so impactful, that development. You're starting at Mohawk and you're really building on that as you go to Berkeley. I will also point out that, curriculum is just one element of music study. There are so many other things, and that's what we're talking about here in this diagram, that post-secondary music, for sure, there's an element of developing a performance if performance is what you want to do. There's the music knowledge as well, but there's the social skills that you're developing. There's the network that you're building. There's the exposure to new ways, to new concepts. And that's something we're really conscientious about having at Mohawk College. And that's something that I think almost universally, I'd say, if you speak to any Berkeley graduate, they'll tell you about the network that it builds, the exposure that they had to new things, the way in which that's what they really, really kind of take away as well from studying at Berkeley. And it's an important part of your educational experience. I would say, the curriculum and the academics are just one side of it. So let's actually get into a few nuts and bolts. And just to explain, so here are the courses that transfer between Mohawk College and Berkeley College. A course that's indicated with a star, you'll see certain courses with a star here. Those stars just indicate an elective that's common between 2nd and 3rd year. So these are the courses in 1st year, 2nd year, and 3rd year. One of the unique elements of our agreement with Berkeley is that you can actually transfer at any point during your study. and accordingly, the number of electives are transferred. So you do not necessarily have to complete all 3 years of your study at Mohawk College. Unlike other institutions, in most other institutions that we have agreements with, it's a block transfer. You finish your studies and you get a certain number of credits going in advance. But it means that you can really tailor your studies at Berkeley to take the courses that you want to specialize in, depending on what you've already taken at Mohawk College. And again, it's a bit of a testament to how well the curriculum overlaps between Mohawk and Berkeley that you really can transfer at any point during your studies at Mohawk. And actually, Brittany, who will be speaking later, who transferred between Mohawk and Berkeley, did so. I don't think she actually completed her studies at Mohawk. But Brittany, you can attest to it. I'm pretty sure, but we'll talk about that later. But this just gives you an idea of the courses that do go between them. Just explaining a little bit about some of the requirements. And Britt mentioned this earlier. So there are certain minimum GPA requirements for courses that transfer to Berkeley. Music department courses, except those that are listed down here, all require a minimum of 75%. So that's the B that Britt was talking about earlier. In our grading system, that's 75%. All non-music department courses to be transferred require a minimum of 65%. So that's your communications and gen ed courses. And then there are some music courses, music department courses, where you can also have a 65% or higher to transfer. And these are the keyboard skills, the scoring for media, songwriting, history of Western music, and popular music in society. We do have the entire agreement listed, so you can go literally course by course, see exactly what you're transferring, what's happening. That is available on Mohawk College's website, and it's available on Berkeley's global partner website. Perhaps when we send out this video after the fact to review, we'll include those links to the agreement so you guys can see those. And now, you know what? I'd love to turn it over to Brittany McCorston. She was a student at Mohawk College, transferred to Berkeley, and now continuing her studies at Fanshawe. Brittany, perhaps you can introduce yourself, what you studied at Mohawk, the experience transferring to Berkeley, what you gained from your time there, and what you're now doing.
Hi, thank you so much. Welcome everyone. I'm really excited to talk to you guys about my experience. So I'm gonna try and make it short, but we'll see what happens because there's a lot. So I went to Mohawk College in 2017 to 2018. So I went there for 1 year, and I am a bassoon principal, and I am classically trained, but now I kind of consider myself a bit of a hybrid. I do both quite a bit with both contemporary music. A lot of my writing and stuff is focused in that stream, but then still my bassoon playing is more classical. And then I transferred to Berkeley in 2018, and I've been there ever since. I have 1.5 semesters left. It's gotten a bit weird because of COVID, but my major there is contemporary writing and production, which is a hybrid of kind of writing classes and then also production classes, so I get kind of the best of both worlds. And then I'm also doing a minor in instrument repair. So where I kind of wanted to begin was first off with saying that one of the biggest things that I love about the credit transfer agreement is that it really prepared me for Berkeley. And so I kind of came into Mohawk knowing that I was going to go to Berkeley and that's what I wanted. And so being in that program kind of helped me to really prepare and be ready and kind of hit the ground running once I got there. So that's what I really love about it. When I was at Mohawk, I was in the contemporary music stream. I had already actually done a summer program at Berkeley. It's called 5 Week. And so within that program, you can kind of audition for Berkeley. So I had auditioned and gotten into Berkeley before I went to Mohawk. And then I did Mohawk for 1 year just to help me get kind of some extra credits. And then I transferred into Berkeley. So my path is a little bit different than some of you might be experiencing if you're already at Mohawk, but that doesn't mean that you can't start thinking about it or consider Berkeley as a pathwards afterwards. When I was at Mohawk, I played in quite a few different ensembles, both contemporary and classical. I was also involved in a couple school clubs. I was the leader of the yarn club, which I think only lasted the 1 year, but it was fun. I also volunteered at the library, and what else did I do? I think those were the big ones that I wanted to cover. So I've always been someone who really likes to have a balance of, yes, I'm studying music, but I also have other interests. So how can I kind of balance that? So for me, it's a lot of service. And so I was able to find that at Mohawk, but then once I got to Berkeley, I also do quite a bit now with student leadership. So I was able to transfer in about 1 year's worth of credits, and then through the summers, I also did quite a bit of my liberal arts classes back in Canada. So I took one course through U of T, one through Seneca. So that was also another way that I was able to keep my costs down. Once I was at Berkeley, and so I've been there for 2 full years so far, and like I said, I have about 1 semester left. I was able to declare my major right away. I did a lot of research kind of going in before that, and so some of the things that I do at Berkeley now, besides my studies, is I'm involved in student leadership. So I am on student government. I have been on it for 1 year and got reelected this year as well. So this is my second term serving. I am a Change Scholar, which is a group of students through the Office of Diversity and Inclusion that is working on combating racism within our campus and our community. I'm playing a number of student orchestras, both as a bassoon player, and I also play oboe, so I do quite a bit of doubling there. I'm also an arranger for a couple of student clubs, meaning that I've written both orchestral and choir works that have been performed within the Berkeley community at different things off-site. I did get involved also with the school, the Boston Conservatory, which was recently merged with Berkeley. And so I never wanted to give up my classical training. I'm studying contemporary music, but I still love classical music. So what was really great about this program is that I was actually able to audition and get into the ensemble program at BOCO. So prior to COVID, of course, I spent quite a few days a week over at the BOCO campus, which is just down the street, in their large ensembles, playing in their orchestra. And trying to think of what else. I'm quite busy. Oh, and student employment. So the other thing that I absolutely love about it is the opportunities that I've gotten, not just with my coursework and working with other students in the clubs, but also this idea of student employment. And it was recently merged within the Career Center as well. So they're very connected. So what's so great is that you have this major and you're figuring out what you're passionate about. And then at the same time, you can go out and work on campus and in an industry that you really love or find more about. And then you also have this career advisor who can kind of help you along and be like, okay, this is my coursework, this is where I'm working on campus, how can I merge these and find a job afterwards? And so that whole path has been really great. So what I've been doing is I have 2 jobs on campus. One of them I'm still doing, the other one I can't so much because of COVID, but I work for Berkeley Press as an editing assistant. And so that is all just like reading books and getting them ready for publication. This isn't the textbooks, but it's actually like their Berkeley Press is like their consumer level thing. So you can walk into your Long and McQuaid and pick up a book from Berkeley Press. And so that is one thing that I do. It's been great working within that and just learning more about editing because it's something I've always been passionate about. And the other thing that I do is I work at the school as a piano technician. So that was really cool to supplement with my instrument repair minor because I got to kind of get in there and learn a new skill that I wouldn't have otherwise been able to learn. And they gave me all the training. So that was what's so great about it, is that I kind of came in knowing just a little bit, but the people that were there and both the students and the staff that I worked with were so welcoming and open to helping me learn and grow. So for me, what has been probably the most impactful about Berkeley is that you come into this community where you may or may not know what you're interested in or what you want to do, but there's kind of so many opportunities, and as you figure it out, there's kind of someone to help you along the way and kind of help you support you in that way and in your journey. So that's kind of my experience. It was definitely a difficult decision and to go to Berkeley just because of finances. It's usually like the number one thing that when I speak with other students, that is the most challenging thing. And so for me, it was a lot of research and trying different things to kind of figure that piece out. But it is possible, and that's one of the the great things about Mohawk is that you can help get a lot of the stuff like not out of the way, but like kind of help you kind of learn that so that you have the financial means to kind of finish off at Berkeley and develop this new skill set and stuff.
Brittany, do you mind sharing your secret to how you do all of that? You would think it would be in the name, but I just don't feel the same way.
Man, time management is so important. Um, I've always been a very organized individual and I love planning. So a lot of me has just been like both trying to figure out my path to Berkeley and beyond has been a lot of planning and just the day to day. It is really easy to get lost in the weeds and just kind of not know where you should be focusing your efforts. And I think that is kind of the story of everyday life, especially right now. And so for me, it is a lot of reflection of being like, what's important to me? What do I want to learn? And where can I go from there? And also, if I realize that later on in the road that maybe I'm not learning what I thought I wanted to, or I'm not getting something out of it, to know that that's okay. And so it's sometimes better to cross something off the list of, okay, I definitely don't want to do that, than to kind of keep going and being like, I think this is what I want to do. So I have no shame in being like, I tried this, I didn't like it, I'm going to figure something else out. So for me, getting involved in so much, I've taken it as these are the things that I'm really passionate about. And like, yeah, there's 20 other things I could be studying at Berkeley or throwing my time into, but these are the ones that are important to me. So it's kind of just reaffirming that, yeah, you can do everything and put your toe into everything, but there's also value in becoming specialized and kind of realizing what you want and what's important.
I think that's a very common type of personality trait or characteristic in partner students. And I think, Jason, you said last session that our partner students are some of the most successful students at Berkeley. And it just goes to show everything that Brittany is involved in now and has been is very characteristic of what a Berkeley student values. And I think it's common to do a lot of different things and be involved in a lot. And so that time management is super important for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring that up. And Brittany, thank you. That was mind blowing. It's great to hear to hear your fearlessness and the idea that you're the one thing I think that I can probably, Pat and Jamshed and definitely Ray and Britt and Betsy and I would all say is, always be open to trying things. Now is like the ideal time to jump in, roll up your sleeves and just test the waters, check out what might be possible, what interests you. So it's really amazing to hear that. And it is true. The students that come from our global partner schools are among the highest achieving at Berkeley. They graduate at the highest percentile. Over 70% of them are graduating on schedule or near to on schedule. And academically, you just come in super well prepared. You're really ready for the opportunities that are going to be presented to you. And that definitely is indicative of, of the quality of the program that Mohawk has. And Pat, you're here. It'd be great to hear from you because you studied with us a couple days ago back in your career, but how does your, if you remember, reflect on your experience, how does that compare to what you're hearing from Brittany and what you think of, what your students might be doing as they go forward with their studies and their careers?
Yeah, I mean, that's funny. I think I was in a lot of ways the exact opposite of Brittany. I had gone to school, I had a similar experience in terms of I'd attended another school before Berkeley. Um, in my mind, I had a pretty clear idea what I wanted to get out of Berkeley. I'm a jazz bass player. I was certainly a heavy jazz nerd then, and I still am to some degree. And that's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to play. In a lot of ways, I didn't really take advantage of what Berkeley had to offer, but I also got to play with some of the best young musicians in the world when I was there. I mean, when I was there, Danilo Perez and I would hang out and play all the time, and Donnie McCaslin and people like this. So some
Wow.
really heavy musicians that have really gone on to do incredible things. So my experience at Berkeley for me was all about playing, And I had some amazing teachers. I was in Herb Pomeroy's ensemble, Hal Crooks. I had a class with Gary Burton. I mean, it was an incredible experience. I'd like to do it again, quite frankly. I think I'd be a better student now than I
Come
was
on.
then. But no, I mean, everything that Brittany's describing is amazing. I mean, it really is. I said this to somebody, I think maybe on the social media post I put up about this workshop. It'll change your life. It really will. It'll open your eyes. It'll open your mind. You'll have experiences that you had no idea you would have. I mean, that sounds like maybe I'm trying a little hard to sell it here, but that was my experience. I know for a fact that I wouldn't have achieved whatever I've achieved in my career without the time I'd spent at Berkeley. And it was, I had some great teachers. The social side, the hang was amazing. I got to meet some amazing musicians. And as I said, I had some amazing teachers as well. So I have nothing but great things to say about my experience. I mean, that was a couple of years ago, but I'm sure the experience is going to be similar for students attending there now.
And Brittany, I think you and I were talking about this a few minutes ago, and just this idea that in the current climate, it's different. I mean, Pat, your experience is that this real focus is, to achieve what you've achieved as an artist, as a bassist. It's incredible, intense focus over a long period of time. And now the music marketplace is such that having a broad skill set and really engaging Brittany in the way that you have makes it possible for you to be ready for lots of different kinds of experiences. And so with that in mind, as you're looking forward beyond your studies, do you have a sense of like what you'd like to do, or there's things that you're still hoping to accomplish while you're a student at Berkeley? And then to tag on to that, with your experience having gone to Mohawk and going to Berkeley, with our audience members here, what would you recommend to them? What are like the top 2 or 3 things that you would say, as you're planning this, remember these things? What would be your guidance to them?
Yeah, so first off, I want to say that like past experience is 100% valid, and that one of the great things about it is that no two students' experiences are the same. And so I can definitely even speak to me knowing other students who their focus is to come in and play in performance, and that's their thing. And so performance is not my thing, but I realized that quite a while ago. And that's okay with me. I've learned that I have other skills. So for that, one of the kind of most valuable things for me is just to kind of to be okay with going through that process and being curious about it. And Berkeley was such a great place to do that and discover that for me. In terms of like the most important things that if you're kind of thinking about you're at Mohawk, how do you make it work, that kind of thing. I found 5-week very helpful. It's a summer program. We call it 5 week because it's 5 weeks long. I think it was online this past summer. I don't know what they're doing next summer. But it was really great because it kind of gave me a bit. I also did it when I was older, so a lot of people in high school do it, but then there's also a large group of kids who are in university or a bit older, and so I kind of hung out with that crowd. But it was really great because it kind of gave me a little bit of opportunity to get to know Berkeley, what it's like, learn about the majors, talk with other students, even just get to know the city. Um, and so for that, I actually, if you apply early, there are scholarship opportunities for that program. So that's how I found the means to be able to go to that, and that's what kind of kickstarted a lot of things for me. So really, my first advice would be to kind of look at those summer programs and see if there's one that is for you, and if you're like financially able to do one. And always look at scholarships because there's a lot of opportunities for that. The next thing that I would say is probably as you're preparing for your audition, should you decide to audition, is not to be afraid of what what you know you're good at and what you think they want. So I auditioned with classical piece. It was like the most like classic bassoon concerto you could think of, and that's what got me in, and that's what got me my scholarship. And yeah, I was afraid because I was like, oh, I should be playing something jazz or something contemporary. Let me throw out a standard, but I don't think I would have done as well because like that's that's not who I am. That's not what I do. And so my biggest recommendation is to know that people at Berkeley are very open to everything. And so, yes, we want to know what you do, what you're good at, but we're not going to judge you on that either. Because we kind of want to, we accept that everyone has these different strengths so that we can work together to kind of build each other up. The third piece of advice that I would probably have in the last is just if you're concerned about finances, is just to know that there's help available. There's help available within the school. Um, if you're from Ontario, I qualify for OSAP, so OSAP does help me out with a lot of the extra bit. I am on scholarship. I got my scholarship through the 5-week program, so that's kind of how I'm paying for it. So to kind of plan ahead for that and know, um, kind of know your costs going in so that you can uh, finish uh, finish strongly and not hit a roadblock halfway through because you've run out of money or something else. So to try and plan that as much as you can. You can't plan for everything, but try and plan for that. And ask for help because there's always resources available both with Berkeley and at Mohawk to kind of help you figure that out.
Very cool. This is great to hear. Thank you for your guidance, your wisdom and experience. Um, for our guests, Mark, Curtis, Sebastian, Colleen, Daniel, and Natasha, what questions do you have? What would you like to know? And Dusty, what would you like to know from anybody here, from Jamshed and Pat in Mohawk, from Britt in our admissions office, and from Brittany? Um, feel free to, it's a small group today. You can unmute, you can turn on your camera. Let us know what you're thinking and what you'd like to learn. Jamshed and Pat, any of these names? Natasha's turning her camera on. You had a question, Natasha? Go ahead. Feel free. You can unmute.
I don't know if I have a question right now, but I just wanted to say, like, thank you guys so much. This has been so informational and so good. Thanks for sharing, Brittany. It's really nice to hear somebody else who is not from the States, who hasn't had, um, well, I guess you planned to go to Berkeley, actually, from the start, but but it's nice to hear your story and hear how you're supporting yourself. It's really good to know these things because I, through going to Mohawk, have learned about Berkeley and the opportunities there. And so that's something that I'm really interested in at this point. But finances is a huge concern for me, of course. It is very expensive. So, yeah, thank you for sharing.
Cool. Natasha, what's your instrument? What are you studying at Mohawk?
I'm a voice major.
Excellent. And what kinds of music do you like to perform?
Well, I really love all kinds of music, actually. There's not one specific genre. That's something that I really enjoyed about Mohawk. I'm going into my second year now, but I was able to do a really wide variety of different styles of music and perform different styles. One thing I will say, though, is I'm in the contemporary stream, but I've been studying classical voice for 10 years, and I still am outside of school. So that's a huge passion of mine, and there was not very much opportunity to do classical voice for me because I'm a contemporary major, and they don't have very many ensembles for that. So it's cool to hear, Brittany, that also you decided to do classical for your audition because when you were talking about the audition process, I was sort of going over that in my head and wondering, at least for me, like what would be the best option? Would it be an original piece or doing something classical? Because, of course, if you are a classical major, I think that would be a great way to showcase what you can do.
Yeah, I think it's really to Brittany's point, and Britt, you also noted this. It's a very diverse community. It's wide open, with 500 whatever ensembles rehearsing every week. Normally, when we're on campus, it almost seems like there's nothing that we don't touch as far as performance opportunities. And so we're looking for people to bring their uniqueness. And then, it's just in our nature to meet you where you are as an artist, as a student, and then to bring you forward to where you'd like to be going, and ideally expose you to opportunities that might inform your creativity, and where you might go. So it's that flow that we're trying to get you into, that will ideally turn into the career experiences, because everybody that you're working with is going to be part of that network that you're going to call upon as you're needing people to record with or create with, and people are going to reach out to you as well. So it's very cool. Mark, Curtis, Colleen, Daniel, and Sebastian, any questions, any thoughts? You can, if you're, Sebastian's got a question here. How would the application process change when applying for a music production program or electronic music program? Sebastian, just really quickly, are you a student at Mohawk? You are, okay. And you're looking to come to Berkeley? So in that case, your application for admissions would follow the process that Britt is outlining. You still have to apply and get accepted to Berkeley. But as you begin your process coming from Mohawk, you're going to want to connect with us. And I'll share a link in the chat. You can connect with the Global Initiatives team. What we can do is both music production engineering and electronic production design have a capped enrollment. And this is because of the limitations on the actual studio space and studio time. Even though I think technically we're the largest recording facility in the United States, there's 21 recording studios, plus a number of mixed suites, surround suites, and all of that. We got limits. So to get into the program, you have to apply. So as you're coming around into your last term at Mohawk, connecting in with Ray and I, we will connect you with music production and engineering or electronic production and design, so you can have a meeting. And they're going to talk to you about your experience, the work that you're doing with Mohawk, the work that you're doing outside of class, and figure out if you're ready to apply to get into the major. And as you're going through your admissions application to Berkeley to see if you get accepted, they're going to be looking to see if you get accepted, can they allow you to access the application for the major, so that it is possible in unique cases, depending on the student, that when you arrive at Berkeley, you might be able to, as a global partner student, begin in the major. It's unique, and it's a case by case situation. Most students would need to get accepted to Berkeley and start their study, be at Berkeley one semester, and during that semester they'd be applying for electronic production and design or MP&E for their following semester. So to that point, what I'll do is I'll just share my email address, and Ray can as well, and just you can be in touch with us as you're planning your transition from Mohawk to Berkeley.
I'll also add that, typically without being a partner student or a student in a partner program, all students accepted to the school are only accepted based on their musicianship on their principal instrument and grades. So when they come in, everybody starts off undeclared. So in a way, you're taking a lot of your core music curriculum at Berkeley, which you are also doing at Mohawk. So it's like everybody's simultaneously moving forward. But when you come into Berkeley, you have that benefit as a student in a partner program to apply, like Jason said, in a case-by-case basis directly into that program, whereas other students have to wait that whole year. So I think it's a good highlight for students interested in production and engineering. However, the application process does not change. I think that was the specific question you wanted to know, that if it's your interest to be in those programs, the application process is only based on the principal instrument. So just the musicality. Same kind of thing when I was mentioning about songwriting composition. While you could do original pieces, we're not evaluating your writing ability. It's the same thing. I'd say the difference is with electronic digital instrument, that could be an indicator to us that you are prepared for maybe electronic production and design or contemporary writing and production, because music production engineering is a bit of a different major than those two. And I think the electronic digital instrument lends well to those other two. And I'm happy to kind of talk about the differences if you have questions.
Jason, I know we're coming close to the end, but if I was wondering if you guys could talk briefly about Berkeley Online versus the in-campus and what the online offerings are, because that may be of interest to some of the students who may not want to necessarily move to the US, but potentially study, and what does that entail?
Yeah, that's a great question. Berkeley, it's been almost 20 years now. was an early adopter into online learning. And for those of you that haven't taken a look at Berkeley Online, I am a huge advocate. Like Pat, I went to go and study trombone and jazz composition, which is fantastic. I love the music. I love the opportunities to play and collaborate. But today, in order to be active and engaged in the industry, you really need to know music technology. And this is where Jamshed comes in because this is his wheelhouse. But I ended up going back to school. I went to Berkeley Online and did the Pro Tools certificate. So Berkeley Online, so it's online.berkeley.edu. We have a number of levels of educational opportunities. You can take one class a la carte. You can take a group of classes as a certificate in different levels of professional certification. And that's what I ended up doing. You can do undergraduate degrees online. You can actually take your credits from Mohawk and transfer them into Berkeley Online and complete your degree. So if you're a student that's, you know, you're really kind of like locked in and rooted where you are, you've got a job, you've got family, you've got, a community that you're built in, and you don't want to leave, but you really want to get access to the education. Berkeley Online for an undergraduate program, transferring from Mohawk is an option. And then we also have graduate studies. We have graduate degrees online. And the same professors who teach in brick and mortar Berkeley teach online. The books and materials are very, very similar. The semester is a little bit shorter. Berkeley semesters are typically 15 weeks long because of the in-person, and the type of degree that you're getting on campus. Berkeley Online semester is 12 weeks long. So it's worth checking these out. And I highly recommend them. They're getting close to 300 courses available now online. There's you can do liberal arts courses online as well, and it's dig in. You can go and take a look at the previews of the courses. Um, it's it's a great experience for those of you that are comfortable with engaging through technology, and it's a whole other community because you have people from literally all over the world in your classroom, as well in global environment. Curtis, you've got a couple of questions here as well.
Sorry, I
And
just want to add on quickly with Berkeley Online.
yeah, go ahead, Brittany. Yep.
Just from Berkeley Online is great. I actually know quite a few teachers that are part of that, and they've spent years developing that curriculum, which is why it's so amazing. If you're looking to be in the United States afterwards and work in the United States, there's something called OPT, which is like an extra visa you get afterwards. You have to be at the in-person, like in the Berkeley school. You can't do it through Berkeley Online. So just something to be aware of is if your goal afterwards is anything related to I want to work in the United States, you have to go the on-campus route.
Thank you. That is a very important distinction, Brittany. Yeah. So that's a great thing to point out. If you're looking to work in the United States afterwards and get some experience in the market here, if you wanted to go to New York, Nashville, Atlanta, Miami, um, Los Angeles, so forth, Seattle, San Francisco, if you wanted to get into the tech side of life, that would be something to strongly consider. Curtis, you want to unmute, man, and just throw your questions at us that you
Yeah,
added in the chat? Yeah.
yeah, for sure. These are kind of long ones, but I guess the first question that I have is that so like I know Mohawk and Berkeley, you can transfer anytime during the years. And I was just wondering that if I want to do like a 2+2, like 2 years at Mohawk, 2 years at Berkeley, or a 3+1, like I know Brittany mentioned that she took outside liberal arts courses to try and save money, but I was wondering like what the quantity would look like if I complete like a 2+2 or a 3+1, and if that's possible to complete those liberal arts courses in Mohawk, or if it's better to do them like during the off summers or something. I guess that's my first question.
Cool. Brittany, how did you approach taking your liberal arts classes?
Yeah, so I'm not sure if it's like a small loophole if it still exists, but Berkeley Global Partner students, after they matriculate into Berkeley, at least when I entered, were allowed to take credits afterwards, and there was no limit to how many you could do at a different institution. So I ended up doing, for most students, the limit is 12, but I believe I did closer to 18 liberal arts courses specifically back in Canada. Most of those were through a continuing education. I did it at Seneca only because it was closer to where I was, but continuing education in Ontario, it's the same thing between the colleges. So you could do it at Mohawk, you could do it at whatever. The only thing is I got those pre-approved before I took them to make sure that they would transfer because you're not going to find them listed anywhere. So what I did is like we have to take a music history course. So I found one through continuing education through a school in Ontario, and then I sent it over to Berkeley, and I was like, "Hey, will this like match this credit for this credit?" They said yes. I took the course, and that's how I did it. In terms of like doing the 2+2 or 3+1, chances are you're going to have to do at least 2 years at Berkeley, maybe not full time your last semester, just because of the way the progression works with your major specific courses. So I have like my writing courses in CWP. I have 4 in a row that I have to take. I can't skip them. I don't really have any other option. But that being said, with the way I took my courses and my progression, my final semester, I'll be able to take it part time, and so I won't. I'll still be there and have to pay, but it will be significantly less than having a full course load. Hope
Yeah,
that answers the question.
yeah, and Curtis, just to kind of jump on this, it's good to maybe think of the program in total, not think of 2+2. It's not possible to do a 3+1. You have to have at least 4 semesters of residency at Berkeley in order for us to be able to award you when you complete your studies a bachelor's degree. So it's better to look at the program you're taking at Mohawk, look at the credit transfer agreement, and look at, it is actually blocks. You can, the updated agreements, and it depends. The previous agreement, you might be grandfathered in under, but it's a matter of looking at the semesters that you complete and the content that you complete in those semesters and how it tracks in. The overall thing that between Mohawk and Berkeley that's really important to us is your success. So we're going to be really mindful about academic advising for you based on your career goal and the major that you want to take. So this would be an offline discussion. Happy to connect with you on it, and I'm sure if we could also connect you with some of our academic advisors at Berkeley to kind of map out your grid, the classes that you're taking at Mohawk and the program that you're doing and where you'd like to go with your studies and the number of semesters it might take to do that. There's another caveat that I'd like to add to this. And Pat, you noted this, and Brittany, you didn't do any name dropping of your professors, but it's something when you're looking at studying at Mohawk and at Berkeley that you want to kind of build into the calculus. It's not about taking advanced free harm techniques or tech tools for the writer or the name of the class. The thing that you might want to be mindful of is who's the faculty member? What is their career? What have they done in the industry? And what does it mean when you're going to get in class with that person that might create opportunity for you? And so as you're looking forward in your career in studies, think about who are the people at Mohawk that you really want to try to study with before you leave that program. And then looking at Berkeley, who would those people be as well? Because that, to your point, Brittany, is going to be, it's going to help you construct this grid, this progression of classes you're going to need to take. There's going to be prerequisites. You might need to get some special waivers to do this. And there's advising and help to allow you to do that. But think about the career goal. Who are the people that you want to study with to help you get there, and design an experience more than look at just completing the degree. We're going to be super mindful about the academic advising to keep you on track to complete your degree, but there's going to be some, those special things that you want to make sure that you study with this teacher or in that class in order to really get the experience that you're hoping to have.
Could you mind if I just piggyback off that
yeah,
real quick?
Please go ahead. Yeah.
So as Jason said, you have to have a minimum of 4 semesters at Berkeley to be able to consider the transfer program. So it's like a 2 and 2, if that's kind of where your brain is at. But once you're at Berkeley, you can only transfer up to 9 more credits. So if you decide over a summer semester that you want to take a course, every summer there are thereon, then be mindful that it's only about 3 classes. So 3 not or yeah, 3 credit courses that you can take in addition. So realistically, like Jason's saying, think about more what that's going to look like in the long term. What my biggest recommendation is to just focus on liberal arts and get them out of the way. You know, if you're going to use the allocation of classes, do it with liberal arts, because even though we have them as a part of our curriculum, you could probably get them cheaper somewhere else, like as on our Berkeley Online program or another online program. And that's where you can really make up if you're trying to like move it along. I know what you mean though. We get a lot of questions about that.
Specifically in Canada, if you want some easy credit, well, not easy credits, but I did this. Explore is, if you're a Canadian citizen, it's a free government program where you go to Quebec and study French for 5 weeks. That got me 6 of my general liberal arts credits, and I did not have to pay a penny. So if you're really concerned about finances, that was a great program, and I also learned a ton of French, and it was really fun. So
Cool.
just a bit out there, but that was one that really worked well for me.
And Curtis, if you do complete your program at Mohawk and an opportunity comes up to go out and work,
Yeah.
you know, you're going to have your degree from in your classes that you've taken at Mohawk in your pocket. You've completed it. So when you're ready to move on, whether it's to Berkeley, Berkeley Online, or some other institution where you ultimately decide to go to complete your undergraduate studies, we will honor those. So we're going to see, you know, we have what we'll do is we'll be, in the case of Berkeley, we'll look back and say, okay, when did Curtis go to Mohawk? Okay, he was here at this time. This was the agreement that applied to him at that time. And so this is, you know, this is how his credits are going to transfer in, and we'll sit down and map all that out with you. It's really interesting that you bring it up. I have, there's a student that works with Ray and I in our office. He's a film scoring major. And in light of COVID, he took the year off. And so we matched him up with a Berkeley alum out in Los Angeles, where he lives. And he's working on, he's now working on score prep for a new Netflix TV show. And he's just going into his 3rd year at Berkeley. So the one thing that Britt kind of tapped into, and Brittany, you've talked about this as well because of student employment. We have this amazing career center at Berkeley, and lots of our students do internships. You know, they'll go and do those over the summer. They can do them during a full-time semester in the fall and spring. So that idea of experiential learning being sort of built in and mapped into your undergraduate studies is another thing to considering your design and your plan, depending on what you'd like to do.
Yep, for sure. All right. Thanks, everyone. I think that answered my question. I just had, I guess, like one more thing of clarification. So if I'm understanding correctly, so once I'm at Berkeley, I can only take a max of 9 credits externally, but before I transfer, I can take liberal arts credits and see if they all transfer in, or up to 12. Is that correct?
The pathway program, I think it's designed that way. So you're transferring up to 24 credits. And so you're aligning the Berkeley curriculum. That's what the big benefit of it is that otherwise, if you were not in a pathway program, if you went to another school that's not a part of the Berkeley Global Partners, then we are not going to accept music credits. So they would come in as something other than if we accept them at all. So we would only be accepting liberal arts. So the big benefit with the pathway is that you are simultaneously taking classes that would align with students at Berkeley taking classes. So up to 24 credits. And then once you're at Berkeley, you can transfer in up to 9 credits. So the idea is that it is a true partner 50-50, where you start at a partner school, you end with Berkeley. And so we want to make sure that you have completed enough requirements with Berkeley to say that you went to Berkeley. You know, you can't come in 3 years and only finish 1 year at Berkeley and say that you went to Berkeley the majority, because that wouldn't be the majority. So it's kind of like it's just within the agreement of what we're able to accept, and part of accreditation as a degree bearing school.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. This has been really helpful.
Yeah, and I also linked the contact for all the counselors. So if you do want to talk to a counselor, you want to talk about transfer credits and stuff, we have 6 different counselors that can get in touch with you, and that's right in the chat there. So we can definitely take it offline as well.
Awesome. I'll just save this for later.
Cool.
And to kind of piggyback, sorry, on Jason's point, like, for us at the college, it's really important at Mohawk that we understand some students really want to transfer to Berkeley, and we want to make sure that they're both getting the most impactful education they can while they're at Mohawk, getting the experiences that they need, as well as preparing you well with your credits to transfer to Berkeley. And we're constantly available. So all faculty, Pat's on this call, Dusty's also on this call, we're always available to guide you in terms of, well, what are your career goals? What are you hoping to go to Berkeley for? Okay, this is what you can take. These are the electives you can take at Mohawk. This is what you can do here. That's how it's going to transfer. This is what you'll gain from your time at Mohawk as a result. And one of the things, as Jason was saying, that I mean, I'm a firm believer in, to some degree, you know what, it's also great to just finish the diploma at Mohawk and have that diploma in your back pocket. Because it's another, firstly, it's another accreditation, but it's also just, it's 3 years of developing those networks, those partnerships, those relationships with faculty that's going to serve you extremely well in your professional life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm a firm supporter of that as well. You know, like Britt and like Brittany, I did the same thing. And it was, it's been an incredible experience. And it was very valuable to have completed the entire program at the institution, the initial institution, before going on to, completing the undergraduate degree. So check that out. Ladies and gentlemen, we're coming up to an hour and 15 minutes. And it's been excellent. This has been a really cool informational exchange. And I really want to thank Jamshed and Britt for sharing details about the Mohawk and Berkeley programs. And Brittany, it's we got to hang. I totally want to, check out the work that you're doing. And I'm hoping that when you're back on campus, we'll have the opportunity to do that when we're allowed to get within proximity. And Pat, we got to play. We got to get you down to Boston or come up and visit you. Ray's obviously thrilled that you're here. It's so cool. Ray was a student of Pat's also a few days ago.
Yeah.
So it's great to have this connection. For those of you that are joining, please, you've got our contact emails here in the chat. The video will be available online for you to go back and reference. Please share this with your fellow students and anybody else that is interested in learning more about the Mohawk program and the Berkeley Global Partnership and the admissions process to Berkeley. We look forward to seeing you soon. Please be sure to join us as well. I know that for those of you that don't have it, I'm going to drop it in here. If you go to linktr.ee/BerkeleyGlobal, this is a really quick place to check out all of the online sessions that we're doing. We're here with you today. Tomorrow we're with Dublin City University, our Berkeley Global partner in Dublin. We've got our chair of percussion, Yaron Israel, our assistant chair of guitar, Cheryl Bailey, and the program director, Pat, bassist, Ronan Guilfoyle. And we're going to talk about rhythm section. So, today we're talking about programs and pathways. Tomorrow we're going to do rhythm section. And it's nearly every day. Ray and Betsy and I have something concocted online to engage with our global community. So we welcome you if you have time to come and join us for these sessions. Please stay healthy, stay safe. Let's all stay connected and keep being creative. And enjoy the rest of your semester here in the holiday. And we'll see you in the next session, or we'll see you early next year. Okay, everybody? Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.